Welcome, everyone. It is first
Hi.
Thursday at 3, and today we are going to be talking about how you prepare yourself as a new expert to be interviewed. And I've got 3 amazing women that will be joining me to talk through their experiences. And all 3 of them just happen to be QW Plus Voices fellows who have recently graduated. So it's amazing to have you in the space. Welcome, Palesa, Zintle, and Javas. And hopefully we'll have a nice discussion about your experience. But I thought I'd also just add something for anyone who is going to be listening to this recording after the fact, because we have a campaign running at the moment called Each One Reach One. So I thought I would play this little message from our director, and then we'll take it from there. Now we just need the sharing powers. Okay, there we go. You can tell me if you can see this. Oh, okay, I think you can see other things and not what I wanted. Are you able to? Okay, I think you can. Can you see the screen with Kath?
Yes, you can see the
Fantastic,
screen.
fantastic. So I'm going to press play and then we'll have that going.
So if you've had enough of corporate pinkwashing in Women's Month, then you need to help us. Quote This Woman Plus is getting every single person we can to find a new expert for our database of voices that journalists can use to close the gender gap in who gets quotes in the media. It's easy to do. It takes less than a minute. Join the movement. Shift the power.
Fantastic. Could you hear that though?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So there we go. That was Kath McGroby inspiring us to reach another expert. So I will put in the chat how we can go about doing that. And please do reach out to any of the experts that you know in the space. I'm also going to, oh, that's me still making a noise with that. I just want to go to a particular slide that I will leave here just for a minute so that whoever joins can actually also just go there. And with the recording, you can also, so let's, are you able to see my screen? There should be like a round disk on it.
Oh, yes, we are able to see it.
Awesome. So that will be the QR code for anyone watching this after the fact. If you are busy watching it at the moment and you can take your phone and just scan this, join the movement. And it is about finding another voice for our database. Quote This Woman Plus is a gender justice organization, and we are trying, we are trying to link experts to the media. And the way we go about doing that is by having a database. So this is why we're asking, take the link, nominate someone. We will be in contact with a person to actually guide them through the process of registering. So I'm going to stop share. And then we're going to kick off with our First Thursdays. If you are new to First Thursdays, it is an Ask Us Anything session. So you can feel free if the topic moves you and you're wanting to engage, then please do ask us whatever you'd like. You can put it in the chat or you can put your voice in the space. Like I said earlier, today's session is really about you being a new expert and you are now contacted by the media to give your quote or to be interviewed. How do you go about doing that? All right, so again, I welcome Palesa, Zintle, and Javas. They are all newly graduated QW Plus Voices Fellows. And thank you so much for being willing to share your experience with us. All right, so it's a conversation. And again, anyone who wants to chime in, say whatever they want, this is what the session's about. Obviously, if you are joining only on the recording, we're going to ask you to put something in the messages there so that we can go back on our YouTube account and actually answer you if that is possible. Right. So my name's Renee Sparks. I host the first Thursdays at 3 sessions, and we are going to now just kick off with how these amazing humans felt when they were interviewed. So just one word, Palesa, Zintle, Javas, about how you felt when you completed your very first interview. Go for it.
Can
I go for it? Yes, you can go for it.
Yeah, I think my first one, I was very nervous. I was really nervous my first time because it was on a radio.
Okay.
And I was worried about the audience and the topic I was preaching. I knew a lot of people had different views on it, highly contentious. So I was nervous, and I was afraid there would be a caller who calls, and then I would have to answer. And I mean, it was a topic that could easily be, I don't know, be changed or easily be made what my words could be taken out of context. And so I was nervous on that account, and I knew that the audience of that particular radio station was quite diverse, and there would definitely be people who did not agree with what I was saying. So I was extremely nervous on that account.
Okay, so Zintle's one word was nervous, but thank you for giving and unpacking what would be the next conversation. So thanks for that. Palesa, your one word about how you
Okay, so funny enough, my one word is also nervous. And thing is, I was nervous before, after the interview. And that was my first interview ever. So I had a lot of thoughts and wondered, will I be able to pull this interview? Will I do good in this interview? And yeah, during the interview, the nerves vanished. And then after the interview, the nerves came again. And I was like, did Palesa just do an interview? And oh my goodness, yeah, I was so nervous before and after the interview.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. So nervous Zintle and nervous Palesa. Javas, do you have one word that you'd like to share with us, how that felt?
Yeah, my first interview, it was about the event that I was about to host,
Yeah.
So first I was excited because I'm a sport person. I just felt I was going just to flow, during the interview. But when I got in the studio, I started to be a little bit nervous, But then because of the relevant questions, the interviewer was asking me, and then I started to cool up, and I was expecting audience to call in. That was the reason I started to be nervous. Yeah, but fortunately there was no one who called in. Then I felt I was a little bit nervous, but once I was out of the interview, people were like, "Oh wow, you know your thing." You were so. Then I was nervous. I was excited. Like I don't have one word actually because I was extremely excited that people complimented me that I did well. But when I got inside the studio, I was nervous.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think many of us can agree, the anxiety leading up to it. I found it interesting when you said you felt nervous afterwards as well. And as you're speaking, what you're saying does make sense. I mean, did I say the right thing? Who's going to stop me where to say, why did you say that thing? So thank you for bringing that up, because sometimes you think it's just the build up to, but you don't realize it's in the moment, it's who's around you. It's what you're talking about, and then thereafter it's also, did I say everything in the correct way? Did I leave something out? And we love doing postmortems, right? So afterwards we're like, I should have said this, I should have said that, I could have made it sound, a bit different. So thank you for sharing. Some of you have just touched now on your very first experience. So I think I just want to take you back, because Zintle, you were saying it was on radio, right? So just take us back to that moment. You were sent the invitation. Did you know the topic? How could you prepare for that? And yes, I'll start with you.
So so there wasn't much notice, hey, because we didn't know. So we had gone, because I work at Amandla, so we had gone to a protest, and we were protesting, and we were at Treasury, just outside Treasury. And now I think news media started to hear that we were there, and they wanted the organizer to explain why we were there. Well, they wanted me, well, me and other people I work with. So we're sent to different stations, and I got one that I knew would be sort of problematic. I didn't want to go to that one by myself.
Yeah.
But it fell on me to go on that one. I mean, I was like, oh no, not that one. So I went there. It's campaigns that we do run.
Yeah.
So I do know the content because we develop the campaigns, and when you are developing a campaign as a team, you know exactly what research was done, you know the content, but still to think, especially when it's contentious issues,
Yeah.
where you know there's a side that disagrees with this view. And I think my nervousness was there. I was prepared. I knew I knew my content
Okay.
because we work with it. But I was still very nervous that if someone who thinks differently phones, what will I say? Will I be able to rebuttal or still share what I need to share, and state it confidently, even though they're saying something that is contrary to what I was saying? I think it was purely on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. Palesa, your thoughts. And please tell us what medium was used for you. Was it radio? Was it print? What was your interview about?
So my interview, we did the interview through a phone call, but it was a print. And with the journalist, it was about my advocacy project, my youth empowerment advocacy project. And, through the phone call, I knew that this was going to get printed maybe the following week because it got done on a weekend. And I was like, when people see this article, what will they say? I had a lot of things running through my mind, and I was like, with my youth empowerment advocacy project, I'm not doing much. So how did I get recognized? How did someone interview me? Whereas I'm not big on what I do. I've just started, and I'm still growing and I'm still learning. And the fact that I'm getting an interview shows that people do see what I'm doing, and some people do appreciate what I'm doing. So yeah, it was nerve-wracking, on a phone call. Still, it was nerve-wracking on a phone call. And then when it got printed, I was like, what are people's thoughts going to be? I don't know, are they going to criticize my work? For someone who's as young as me and with not much of experience in youth empowerment advocacy. But yeah, man, I just hoped for the best. Yeah,
Okay.
I just hoped for the best.
Awesome. Thank you. I just want to ask a follow-up question to that. So you had a telephone call and then they published that. Did they give you an opportunity to look at it again before it was published, or were you just as surprised as everyone else when it was published?
So what happened is that it got published before they sent it after it was published. And when I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, oh wow. Okay. And yeah, I was actually impressed, but I just had a lot of thoughts in my head, thinking maybe some people will try to, I don't know, will criticize it in a bad way. And yeah.
No, okay.
Yeah, it was, I saw it after it was printed.
Okay. But
Yeah.
that can be a bit nerve-wracking, right? Because you don't know, did they understand me? Did they get what I wanted to say? So
Yeah,
thank you
it
for
can.
sharing that. Yeah. Javas, over to you. What format was your first interview in, and how did it go?
No, it was a radio interview.
Okay.
Yeah, but they wanted a bio, what was the event all about, Yeah, most of the questions were relevant, they were asking me why this tournament, why after my graduation, because I was doing a sports science. Then they ask you, why am I doing an LGBTQIA plus tournament? What is it all about, So because it was a first event, I don't want to lie. For me, I felt I put myself into a serious challenge because I'm not experienced. I don't have a sponsor. What if these people are expecting big, and then I'm just doing it for the relationship, to have a relationship around how with all the LGBTQIA plus organizations, you know. Yeah, it was challenging after the interview because I was receiving a lot of calls, you know. Parents wanted to bring their kids, they wanted to know about prices. Then I had to come with a strategy that, you know, guys, you know, for you to participate, you know, you have to come with 100 rands. So me doing that, you know, I was trying to bring some prices in the event because I didn't have enough money, you know. Yes, I didn't have enough money to have prices. So when they were calling, I realized that, you know, a lot of people are calling. Let me say, to participate in the event, you have to pay some price, you know. And then from there, they came, they enjoyed. Then, yeah, I think the interview was not a problem, honest. It was after the interview. Then the challenge was after the interview. Because
you're giving us food for thought,
yes,
Yeah, you're definitely
and
giving.
yes, and the second interview, it was through the phone. Yeah, that one, yeah, I was very nervous. Through the phone was the first time, and I didn't expect any. I was not sure about questions. That was a reason I was nervous, you know. But because it was about my project, you know, it was here at Code This Women Plus, because it was about my project. It was not that difficult to answer those questions, you know. Yeah. But the third one, I can't remember the journalist. The third one just through WhatsApp. That one was very challenging.
Is it? Okay. Okay. Why did you find that challenging?
I think I was not prepared enough, you know, because she was asking questions like why government must change policies. You know, she was deep, and I felt I was not prepared. I should went to this act, you know, constitution, you know, and do my research properly before the interview. Yeah, but it did help me because now in future I know that I need to be prepared for myself.
Yeah, that is fantastic. That is a great tip for all of us, actually. I'm just wanting to know from all three of you, like, what surprised you about your interviews or the experience? You know, sometimes we have preconceived ideas about what an interview might, how it's going to pan out. Maybe, like you said, Zintle, you know the station and you're expecting worst case scenario, and then it doesn't happen that way. Or this is my friend, and he's going to interview me for a podcast, and the next thing it's not what you thought it was. So yeah, what surprised you about your interviews? And yeah, we can start with you again, Zintle.
Yeah, so what surprised me about my interview is that it wasn't bad. I thought it would be bad. I thought it would be contentious and it would be full of tension, but it wasn't. And so we were going to Treasury and we were demanding that Treasury extend the 370 grant. And some of the placards we had were saying tax the rich, you know. And so that message very often seems like you are saying people, you know, ordinary people, middle class should be taxed, when actually that message is normally meant for the top 10% that are rich in the country. And I know it can be twisted so easily. And just even social grants, sometimes people just think, oh no, have these messages that are not verified by research. Oh, people are lazy, people shouldn't have. So I thought I was going to deal with that. But I found a journalist whom, in my opinion, knew the literature and as such asked me relevant question. And because of the way because she was well read on the issue as well, I just found that it was so easy for me to come up with, to talk about these topics that are often seen as very contentious. And yeah, it went well. And even afterwards, when I people commenting on it, there wasn't any negative comment that I could pick up. So I was really surprised by that. I expected the worst.
That's amazing. And did they give you the questions up front? I'm just wondering for your preparation.
No, they didn't, because so we had media that we knew normally ask us, but when we were at the protest, surprise media tried to contact us, people we didn't expect. So that's why I said, oh no, quickly, somebody needs to go to here, go there, go. It was that kind of a situation because things were happening so quickly. So I just had to to respond to that. And
Yeah.
and you know what questions you're going to get from which radio station. And that one was kind of like the one that everybody didn't want.
Luck of the draw. But anyway, thank you so much for sharing, Palesa. Over to you.
Okay, so what surprised me was how smooth the interview went, despite my nerves and that it was so smooth. And another thing is that the journalist who was interviewing me found it really, I don't know, he was actually shocked, because first thing, he doesn't know the place that I'm from, and he didn't know that there are people who are into those type of projects in my area. I don't know, I came off as, he was very shocked. I don't even know what to say. He was so shocked to interview me, and he found my project really interesting. He found it really interesting, and yeah, it also surprised me that he found my project interesting, because I do know a few people who advocate for youth empowerment, and the fact that he didn't know that. Oh, also another thing is that when he asked for my age and I told him, he was extra shocked.
Yeah.
He was extra shocked, and yeah, I don't know, he was just shocked, and that also surprised me, yeah.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. I just want to double check. I see Mpoloken is saying that she can't hear. Is anyone else having that problem? I'm happy for you to unmute and tell me if you can hear us, at least. Let's start there. Can you hear us? Even a thumbs up can work. Hi, Kath. I see you joining. Are you able to hear us? Could you just indicate with the thumbs up? I'm not seeing any. Maybe let me ask Kashifa, can you hear us? Okay, no one seems to be responding. Let me just send a message in the chat then. Because we can't be having this whole conversation and no one can hear. Let's see. Actually quite strange that we're not getting anyone to answer. Okay, let's continue. No, ma'am. Okay, that is Mpolo King, which is the person who said that she can't hear us. Maybe Kath? Are you able to hear us? It's very strange. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much, Bongiwe. Yeah, the last thing we wanted is to continue with this conversation and no one can hear us. Okay, cool. So Mpolo King, it is on your end. Yeah. Sorry for the disruption, humans. Let's go back to Javas. Javas, what surprised you about your interview?
Oh, what surprised me about the interviews, when I was interviewed by one of the journalists from here called This Woman Plus, I think I was expecting questions like where to from here. I was expecting a lot of questions about the current project, but she was just asking me about what motivated me to be an activist for the LGBTQIA plus,
Yeah.
So she was asking a lot of my experiences when I was a teenager. So it was very easy because she was asking about me. I was just telling her, about my experiences when I was young, the challenges I was facing as the young teenage, a gay teenage, So I was surprised because I was expecting some difficult questions regarding about the project as such, not about my life experiences. So that surprised me.
Okay, awesome. So you actually all of you have just started touching on where I wanted to go next, which is around how do you prepare mentally and emotionally for this interview? I mean, in some of your cases, you knew what you were going to be asked. In some cases, you didn't know. And even if they're asking you about yourself, if I think about a work interview, you know, when people ask you, tell us about yourself, it's like that's the minute I just go, what? Who am I again? So yeah, so what does it take? The type of preparation, mentally, emotionally, that you need to go through when you've just received that invite to be interviewed by the media. Go for it, Zintle.
Yeah, hey, I think the biggest one for me is mentally. I just have to know the content. So if I know the content of what I'll be asked about, and I'll just make sure that I know it on a broader on a broader scale. So whatever type of question, whatever angle they take, I must be able to answer it. And for me, it's more mental because because of the work I do, I also have to know what people who oppose me are saying. I have to know that. I have to know the people who critique what I'm saying and go and find other and actually kind of fortify myself with those who agree with me and be sure that at all levels, it doesn't matter what comes up, I should be able to respond to it. So when it comes to work topics, I found that and emotionally, I normally, when I get into content and I read about things and I make sure I know, I emotionally connect with them because it's usually issues that I'm also passionate about. And yeah, I think where I find difficulty, I'm sorry, is when I have to talk about myself. Oh, that was very hard. The one that was organized by QW, that was my heart. And yeah. I don't think I'm answering the question, but
No,
I just found
that
it
is
so hard
that is
emotionally.
brilliant insight.
Because I had to now talk about me and not talk about the issue. It's good to talk about an issue you can read and you can now when it relates to something where it's also personal. I was very nervous about extra nervous than I normally am, even more nervous than I was with the revelation that would have come with contentious issues. I really was, because I was like, oh goodness, how is it going to appear? How is it going to look? What, I just had I had more prep emotionally there. I was worried on an emotional level.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, this is SA Women's Month, and this woman would always talk about the women's voices in the space, and we also talk about like imposter syndrome or not feeling that you are the expert yet. Yeah, you talk about yourself, so it also just brings to light where we grow up, how we've been cultured not to talk about yourself, not to take the light about yourself, but rather about what it is that you're doing. And especially when it's in line with, doing work or serving communities, it's easy to talk about that. But thank you so much, Zintle, for sharing. And please, anyone with any comments or any insights, feel free to unmute and engage, or to put it in the chat. Palesa, over to you.
Okay, so mentally and emotionally, so I was overthinking, and I was like, okay, I have to be over prepared for this. This is my first interview. I don't wanna, I just want to be prepared and be able to answer all the questions. So I even Googled a few questions. I was like, what if they ask me this question? I have to be able to answer it. And then I even remembered that they're going to ask me questions based on the work that I do, of which is going to be easy because I already know the context of the interview. And it was nerve-wracking because I just want to be perfect during the whole interview.
Yeah.
So yeah, just being over prepared, checking how journalists interview people, I even watched the videos and checked how these interviews go, and I was like, okay, mine is going to be on a phone call, but I just want to be sure that this is how journalists interview people. So yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I was overthinking, and I'm just grateful that everything went well. I'm very grateful for that. And the questions that I was asked, yeah, like Zintle said, I didn't even know what to say when the journalist asked me to, tell him about myself. I was like, oh my goodness, do I even know myself? Do I even know myself? I'm like, oh, that's a very hard question. That is a very hard question. And yeah, I'm just glad the whole interview went smooth.
It's amazing, eh? If you're asked now to introduce yourself or what your why is, it's like, okay, I could answer everything else. I mean, the level and the depth to which you've prepared, And then,
Yeah.
for you to be asked this question, that's now a curveball. And yet it is probably the first question anyone asks is who you are. But I
Yes.
hear you. I hear you. It's a difficult one because what am I
Yeah.
putting here? Everything in the kitchen sink or just what's applicable to this project? And so that's one part of Palesa and not the whole of Palesa. So yeah, it is a difficult question. I guess it's over to you.
I wanted to chime in. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
go for it.
Oh, sorry.
Go for it.
I'm sorry, man. I wanted to add to
No,
something you were
Please
saying.
do.
This thing about talking about yourself. So I felt like I was gonna be too vulnerable. I felt like, yeah, people are gonna know more than they should know about me. Yeah. So I was just trying to think, what is it that made me nervous? I'm like, oh my goodness, everybody's gonna read this. Everybody, yeah. So
Yeah.
about things I don't always share with people I don't know. So that was that.
Yeah. No, that is a very yeah. And thank you. You guys are being so honest about what's been an issue for you or what really stands out. And I see Kashifa's agreeing, talking about yourself is difficult. But yeah, I think this is where we all start this journey to be able to say we take up space, we stand in our own light, we say we are experts, so we need to show up and do that. So it's a lot of work that we have to do on ourselves. But yeah, all right. Thank you so much. Javas, on your end, what type of preparation did you have to put in place in terms of mental and emotional prep?
Yeah, I'll say it depends, because my first interview on the radio station, they did ask questions like that, who is Javas, For me, I believe that you just have to be authentic, because I knew that I was there for sports, So everything I was answering, it was regarding sports. Javas is a coach, Javas is owning a girls football academy. So I think it depends on the interview, because if it's a job interview, if you ask me, who tell us about yourself, hey, it becomes hey, I become nervous, it's a challenge, But what are you expecting as an interviewer if you say, tell us about yourself? But if you're telling me about my career, it becomes very easy. It becomes very easier. It is, you have to be prepared emotionally. You also have to do a research, regarding if you are going for a sport, you also need to do a research regarding sports interviews. What kind of questions are they expecting or are they asking? And if it's about a job, I think you also need to make a research about the company you are going to. So I think it depends, but you become nervous because if it's your first interview with that radio station or with that company, obviously. But if you are authentic and you have confidence, it becomes very easy for you. Like you don't try to be someone else. Don't try to be something else that you are not. That's what I can say. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Oh my word. I had so many other questions that I wanted to ask you. Did you want to say, anyone wants to say anything? I thought I could hear.
Yeah,
Yes, go
can
for
I
it.
just say something?
Yes, welcome, Kashifa.
When it comes, good afternoon, everyone. When it comes to interview, you prepare for the things that you know. But hey, when they come to the policies and things like that, hey, now you think, hey, am I saying the right thing? Is this in line with the policy? And I think sometimes that, there's something at the back of that small brain that is saying, hey, that is not what you're supposed to say. And I think sometimes you doubt yourself, but then you realize as it goes along. No, but that speaks to what I'm talking. And then you have to bring it, what the topic that you're talking about, then you have to bring in what you meant by that. Because sometimes when you say something and people don't understand what you're saying, you have to not make an example, but also, share some experiences also. Well, why are you saying this thing? Why is it happening like that? But sometimes this thing of policies and that's why you also need to be clue up with some of the things that you need to know, because it can become also difficult and, be people saying, hey, this one don't know what she's talking about. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that is also one of the challenges that can be also.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kashifa, and I can agree with you. I mean, you can do as much research as you want when it comes to unpacking that policy or making something as simple as possible, because again, everyone was speaking about different media that they were on. So whether it was a radio interview, and so how do I make something simple for everyone to understand? How do I bring in policy so that the policy maker knows I'm speaking about the right thing? It's quite vast, right? So it's not just, oh, okay, here's your questions, go for it, because you can also be told, okay, the questions can change because of what you've just said. So it's quite an experience. It's not just, oh, okay, yes, I'm going to put my hand up. And we find a lot of times, I mean, I do a podcast and asking women to join because I think they're amazing. They very often don't. They think that what they're doing is normal, what they're doing is every day. They don't see themselves as an expert in it. And yet that's exactly it. We need to start owning it. So, but you're right, Kashifa, to own it, we also have to do the work. So thanks for that. I guess you've answered so many of the things that I had planned to ask you, but I'm curious, how do you prepare? What practical things do you have to do? What rituals, notes, or whatever do you, I mean, Palesa, you gave us some insights, so maybe just if there's anything specific that you thought, okay, this is what's helping me get through my interviews or preparing for my interviews. What are some of those tips that you can share with us? Can we kick off again with Zintle, if possible?
Yeah, I think I've already alluded to it. I think for me, given the topics that I normally cover, I have to know what my critics are saying. That's one of the biggest rituals. I have to know if there's some research that did come up, I have to have read it. I have to, if there's a paper that came out on an issue, because the issues are normally so layered and they're usually so sociological as well. They have many angles. So I kind of have to, mine still stands on content. And I think it depends. That is why I think I've always been in that space and I was comfortable there. That's why I said when it was about myself, I felt like that was a wild card that I didn't know how to. But I think now I'm learning to be more comfortable about myself and talking about myself. I think now after that one, that was with the journalist for QW, part of my preparation, if somebody had to ask me my why, and especially because there's kind of like attaching yourself that much personal to the work that you do, one of the practical things, I would just have to go over my why and decide what am I comfortable to share about myself and what am I not beforehand. And because at that time I didn't. After I said, I was like, oh my God, was that okay? Was that, what if someone, I had to to say some things about my family and I don't normally do that. And yeah, where my passion for this came from, I had to talk about my grandmother, that, okay, I got this passion from her. I was like, oh, so it was, yeah, now I've learned to prepare about how I connect me to the topic very, I don't know, very intimately, so to speak, and decide beforehand, what am I comfortable to say and what am I not comfortable to say?
Fantastic. Those were brilliant gems that you shared with us there. Thank you. Palesa?
So, with my interview, since it was the first one, I didn't know what I have to do, what I don't have to do for the interview to be a success. So I would just over prepare myself. The only thing that was in my mind was to be over prepared so that I don't fumble, so that I'm able to answer each and every question. But after the interview and I reflected on how it was, I realized that yes, you have to share what you're comfortable with. You're not obliged or obligated to share what you're not comfortable with just because the interviewer is asking you a question. And on my side, I was comfortable with the questions that they were asking, and I responded the best way that I could. So if there was another interview, I would first thing be prepared, and especially if you know the context of the interview, then it will be easy for you to share information, you know. And yeah, I think the best thing to do is just be comfortable with yourself. If they ask you questions you're not comfortable with, just respond and tell them that you're not comfortable answering this question, and you know, answer the best way that you can. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Palesa. So you can say, I don't know, or you can say,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to answer this. And I think sometimes we
Yes.
put that pressure on ourselves that, well, I come in as an expert, I need to be able to answer everything. So thank you for that, Palesa. Over to you, Javas. What do you do in preparation for interviews that you think's helped?
I think in future I must make sure that when I prepare for an interview regarding my advocates, I must make sure that I do research about government policies regarding schools, LGBTQI learners, you know, because those policies are there, you know, our constitution is there. It's just for me to combine those facts, you know, when I go for an interview, because some journalists will dig will dig into you to know, to see if you know what you're advocating for, you know. So I think, you know, to be prepared, what makes us to be nervous, you know.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I think from all the discussions we've had so far, that's kind of been the recurring theme. It's been around preparation. Zintle, you spoke
Yes.
about, I'd like to know what you're going to ask me ahead of time. And Palesa, you spoke about over preparing. Javas, you're speaking about a very specific thing. So knowing my niche area and knowing the policies and things around that. So not only the topic itself, but things that you know is on the side. And I loved what Zintle said. Know who your opposition is and who's going to say the opposite. I'm reminded now of a radio interview I had, and it was a spur of the moment thing, you know, when someone goes, I remember you from a conference, can you please hop onto the call with this particular radio presenter? And I'm like, yes, I would love to. And yeah, I am in traffic and I'm speaking about PrEP, so pre-exposure prophylaxis. And the radio presenter turns around and says, oh, so you giving people permission to be promiscuous? So that in my head wasn't how this conversation was going to go down. So immediately when you were speaking about preparation and about, you know, thinking about what possibly is this person going to ask that I'm not comfortable with, I can definitely speak to that. It was a very awkward moment. And if I had just given myself that little bit of grace to actually engage, okay, I know I just said yes now and they immediately called me, but had I thought about this before, it would have been very different. I felt very much like a fish out of water. It was like, what? I work with this every day, but of course I work with people who opt into it. So, so very, very important that we know who it is that we're speaking to, what maybe their stance is on what we're talking about, because not everyone's particularly going to love what we say. And then what is my response to that? Because I think like you, after the thing, you were like, oh, I could have said this, I could have said it like that, or, you know. So yeah, thank you very much for that. I don't know if Kashifa wants to add her voice to the space. I'm very happy for you to do that, Kashifa. Or Mpula King. I see a few names I know, but otherwise we will move on. I guess my next thing is, because this isn't just about the QW plus voices, and it's not just about whoever's on the call, it's so much broader than that, right? People can tap into this at any point, and you can share this with a broader audience. So I'm guessing my next thing is really, what advice do you wish you've had before you had any interview? What was it that you think, oh, I wish I knew this before I said yes? Zintle.
Wow, it's so unfair because people didn't tell me, don't be nervous. And but you can't say that enough. And even though someone did tell me, don't be nervous, I was still nervous because I was just thinking of what could possibly go wrong. So I think the message that needs to be repeated, still don't be nervous, even though someone can be a little bit nervous, just that reassurance. And I did get that, to tell you the truth. Lauren did give us that. It's not like there was no preparation and there was no, and even here at work for those interviews, like, just don't be nervous. Just say, you know this, But I think because sometimes things are for the first time, when I did this for the first time, I was still nervous. And so when I was in the middle of the conversation, I was like, there was no need to be nervous because I'm now flowing, I'm now talking, and I'm free, and I'm feeling that we are moving together and we've got the same flow. So honestly, don't waste emotions, negative emotions, so to speak, especially if you've done the preparation you need to do, and you are going to, I mean, Java's touched on this, you're going to be authentic about what you are saying. So don't be nervous. I think that's the one I can give.
Thank you very much. Palesa, over to you.
So with me, it is be yourself. I was told to be myself, and I was like, how am I going to be myself if this is my first ever interview? Like, how is that going to be possible, you know? And throughout the interview, I was myself. I realized after the interview that, oh, okay, no, I was being myself. Even though I was nervous, but I was myself. But before the interview, I was like, how am I going to be myself? This is my first interview. I am nervous. I'm praying that everything goes well. I'm praying that my interview becomes smooth. I answer all the questions, and I just didn't believe that I was going to be myself. I thought I was going to be like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can be able to answer that question, but believe me, I was able to answer everything, and I was myself.
Thank you so much. Before we move on to Javas, I see Kath has put in the chat, remember that the best way to prepare is to practice your key messages over and over again beforehand. I can't agree with that enough. I promise you, if I have something to go and speak at an event or something, I'm doing it in the shower. I'm doing it while I'm driving. I'm doing it to my family and hearing their feedback. I was hiking over the weekend. I was busy throwing it to the people hiking with me, going, what do you think about this? And what questions do you still think? So I think we, in a way, like you said, over prepare, Palesa, but I think it's because then it becomes easier for us to talk about. So Zintle, like you were saying, if talking about myself is an issue, maybe rehearsing that, bouncing it off someone, recording it and even listening to it could be an amazing way of learning. Oh, don't say that, or don't say it like this. But yeah, I love the fact that you've all brought out being authentic and being yourself. That is really important. And thanks, Kath, for your add-on. Javas, over to you. What do you wish you knew ahead of time before you had that interview?
Now, I wish I knew that I have to quote from the government policies, if I knew that I was supposed to do my research well, to prepare myself. I wish I knew, because I could have done that, I think I would be so nervous after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the preparation beyond your expertise. So I'm an expert in, like in your case, coaching and LGBTI advocacy. But then what is it that people are going to look at and go, okay, yeah, that is an expert. So you're right in that sense. Very often we have amazing community activists and experts, but their knowledge is around lived experience. And then you come into a space and you think, everyone wants this PhD or wants this, this academic expertise. And very often it isn't. So Javas, whatever you brought to the space is also valuable. It's rich, but I hear you. It's for yourself to feel comfortable and showing up in spaces where people now are talking policy, where you come with a heart. And they are coming with their head. Let's put it that way. And collectively, you need to be working with your hands to actually make the difference. So thank you so much for that.
Renee, can I just say something on what you're saying is, I had an interview once. I didn't expect that, because sometimes you get these ones that interview you and then they are really against what you're doing. And then the questions get turned around. And then I thought, I didn't come for this. But you had to rethink, and then you have to say, okay, that is your view on that, but this is our view on our stance on on what we're doing and what we believe that, what is right within communities. Because sometimes it can lead also to it's like that dialogue in a way that people don't really want to bring out the struggles that we really have. It's like what we're doing is wrong. So it's also we have to say, no, that is your view on that one, but this is what we believe, and this is what's currently the situation on the ground. So with all respect, that is your belief, but this is the reality on the ground. So you have to put it also in a way that you don't want to offend this person, but you also want to put him straight. What is the reality on the ground? Because you're not there when the things is happening. Yeah, that is some of the experiences that I had also.
Thank you so much, Kashifa. You're making me think the question that I had for prep, I could have gone, thank you very much for sharing your opinion, but so you're teaching us something, and this is actually what we're trying to say. So bringing the message back again. And I love what you just did now, because you highlighted that those that are interviewing us, they are human. So they do have their own opinion, they have their own bias. They're showing up with maybe they were just asked to go and talk to you, but you're right, they're not necessarily in favor of your cause. So yeah, we need to also be prepared for that. I think it comes back to Zintle's conversation around know who it is that's interviewing you. Go and have a look at that newspaper or check out their website and see, okay, this is what they normally do. So they probably they've verbalized that they're not in favor of the work I do. How do I now show up, for it to be a meaningful conversation? So thank you so much. Those were really beautiful, practical examples. And hopefully to any of the new experts signing up in this month as part of our hashtag Each One Reach One campaign, they will understand that once you join, you have a community to lean in on in terms of QW Plus and even the fellows. So, I mean, here we are, we'll be busy with experts who have just graduated from a fellowship, but we know that the lived experience that you have and the experience you have in advocacy is what brings you to this space. And thank you for your willingness to share your experiences with everyone as well. I am going to wrap up now only because there is a survey at the end of this. And so the point of the survey is for you to tell us, you, the community, to tell us what you'd like to hear in the future First Thursdays at 3. Are there any trainings or anything related to media work that you would like us to tap into? And so in this way, we are co-creating what the space looks like. So yeah, and hopefully you will participate in the campaign. We look forward to seeing your names as people who have nominated others to be part of this community. And I know that the 4 of you that have now spoken, being part of the community, you have seen what it means to show up and put your voice in a space, and what it means to have a community of people supporting you to do just that. So thank you so much for your time. Let me just see if there was any other comments. There are no further comments here. Yeah, so thank you again. Thank you, Kath, for your contribution. Kashifa for joining in. Bongiwe, it's been wonderful having you, Pula King as well. And thank you again to Palesa, Zintle, and Javas and Kashifa for your willingness to share your experience, be vulnerable, and just be real in sharing with us. You can catch this episode if you have anyone that you know of that hasn't joined us, they can catch it on YouTube. So it will be on the QW Plus channel. Thank you so much. Until next time.